Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is late Thursday, March 19th, 2020. We predicted last night on Truth Frequency Radio that we might see some big-time headlines on the 19th in light of coronavirus being called COVID-19 and a number of other things. On this day, California, the governor has ordered 40 million people in the state to go on what they're referring to as lockdown, a light term for what might turn into martial law. And we're going to go over this ritual. If you've been following the videos we've been doing on coronavirus for the last 2 months, we've talked a lot about 56. You'll notice the governor put out a quote tonight saying that the state projects that 56% of people will be infected within 8 weeks. 56% within 8 weeks. It's for the state of California. Again, they keep using this number 56, and you'll only recognize it if you're aware of Gematria, the simple practice of coding numbers into words, in what's considered the most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. Coronavirus equals 56. So does Gavin Newsom. So does toilet paper. So does mind control. And so does Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. This is definitely a federal agenda. So, we'll be talking a lot more about that. But I want to hit some other topics too. At the end of this, we're going to come back and watch some highlights from Event 201. There's something really concerning about what they simulated in Event 201. Again, if you haven't heard about Event 201, it took place October 18th, 2019. It was a simulation of a coronavirus outbreak. It began the same day as the Military World Games, which started in Wuhan, China. And initially they said patient 0 in Wuhan was December 12th. They've since changed that date to December 8th, changed it again to December 1st. It's now been changed to November 17th. But the first patient 0 was December 12th, which was 56 days after Event 201. We're going to be watching this simulation. The most concerning thing is that they say, well, if you watch the simulation, pretty much everything going on in the world right now is what they predict. Major economic fallout, major disruption to travel, airlines, bank bailouts, lending. But also part of what they say is that at first the outbreak is relatively slow, and then it's 6 months. Remember, in Event 201, the outbreak lasts 18 months, killing 65 million people worldwide over the course of 18 months. But what they say is the number of deaths start out relatively slow until it hits the 6-month mark. And consider the first cases documented were December and now November, so 6 months would be in May or June. But they say at the 6-month mark, in mega cities, in poor populations, people start to die very rapidly in big numbers. And again, one of the key agencies at Event 201 was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, led by Bill Gates, whose father was a eugenicist. So is Bill Gates. He's always talking about population control. He said in recent years we need to reduce the population by 15%. He said a good way to do that would be through vaccines. Again, these are his own words. When he lists his ways to depopulate, he always lists vaccines first. But we're going to watch this because it is concerning. Everything that they do in the simulation is accurate so far, and then they say at the 6-month mark, it really starts to cause devastation in very poor communities, in mega cities. So I would think maybe the 20 biggest cities in the world, places like Mexico City in the United States, New York, possibly Los Angeles. Anyhow, we're going to watch that and hear them in their own words. And we're going to, again, expand on what we discussed in the last live stream I did. If you missed the last video, it was super shadow banned. It was pretty much impossible to find this video while it was live. It started to get views in recent times, but they've really kept this video under wraps. If you missed it, definitely check it out. We're going to build on what we discussed in this video. That is Tom Hanks and his son, because again, Tom Hanks, he just wrote this letter, or this, not letter, but Instagram post with a image of a Corona typewriter, talking about how him and his wife are getting better and they're playing gin rummy, and his wife leads him by 201 points. We've continuously talked about this theme with 201 in regards to celebrities and the coronavirus outbreak and predictive programming. So, again, Tom Hanks did that, and then his son came out and posed with no shirt on, with the Eye of Providence in the center of his chest, an Illuminati symbol, which is interesting considering his father played the main character in the Da Vinci Code, which is a film about Illuminati, again, based on the books. Film came out in 2006 with Tom Hanks, 14 years ago. So, if you haven't seen the video, we showed it earlier. The son says that not to worry about his parents. They're doing just fine. They're getting better. And, again, that should make all of us wonder. If, coronavirus is this horrible thing, how are these celebrities getting it and being just fine days later? Even 24 hours later. So, anyway, we're going to expand on that. And I noticed something that I've been missing all this time with Event 201 was the World Economic Forum. They were another co-host. We've been talking about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Johns Hopkins University. The other co-host was the World Economic Forum, which is headquartered in Switzerland. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a bunch about Switzerland again. We'll do it quick, get to the point. And then from there, we're going to transfer into the Illuminati card game and the symbolism of this card, Quarantine, with the red cross on it, which of course reminds of the Red Cross, the agency, but also the Red Cross of the Knights Templar who fled to Switzerland, where the World Health Organization is now headquartered, where the world's most powerful bank, the Bank of International Settlements, is headquartered, and where it turns out one of the co-hosts of Event 201 is headquartered, the World Economic Forum, which has a lot to do with Wuhan coronavirus and the Masonic motto of order out of chaos. So, beginning to all that. Also go over a few more points about Event 201 that you might have forgot, and then we'll finish up with all of the ritual in California going into lockdown on this date, March 19th, 2020. The 40th governor puts 40 million in lockdown. Of course, 40 is a very biblical number. And as we've been talking about, this entire riddle of the coronavirus outbreak is biblical, mocking Revelation. So we'll revisit it all. They got 121 coded all over this ritual. It's only a matter of time until LA's on full lockdown. L12, A1, 121. We'll get to it. Again, if you got Sirius XM, realize they've made channel 121 the coronavirus channel. The first case in the U.S. was January 21st. We've been talking nonstop about that since that date. Coronavirus outbreak 121, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 121, Johns Hopkins University 121, World Health Organization 121, again Revelation 121, biblical themes, 40 days and 40 nights, again 40 million on lockdown by the 40th governor, plus a whole lot more to that. We'll talk about why Trump called it the Chinese virus today, making headlines instead of the coronavirus. And it's all news by the numbers. And we'll talk about the Dow's finish today, heading into tomorrow, the spring equinox, March 20th. So, Event 201, again, the simulation of a coronavirus outbreak that lasts 18 months, that happened on the 18th of October. Consider the Spanish flu, the last major flu in the world, began in 1918. And, when you think Spain, you think Mexico, Spanish, coronavirus. There's been headlines about how people are confused with Corona Bear and coronavirus. Again, I don't know if they're making up these headlines. I'm having trouble believing that many people are confused about coronavirus and Corona Beer, but maybe so. Is it on sale in the stores right now? It might be. But, again, Mexico, Corona, Spanish flu, 1918. This simulation on the 18th of October that lasts 18 months in the simulation. Anyhow, Event 201, the day the Military World Games began, which started in Wuhan, Again, they were co-hosted by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Johns Hopkins University, and the World Health Forum, or the World Economic Forum, excuse me. And notice the gematria of that form, 222 and 93, like Wuhan coronavirus. And it took place in New York, New York. New York, New York is 222 and 78, like Wuhan coronavirus. Again, the Masonic motto, order out of chaos, is 222 and 78. As above, so below. Another Masonic motto, 222, 78. Remember, the word Masonic is 74, and this event took place on the day leaving 74 days left in the year. Dean Koontz is 74 years old at the time, the author of Eyes of Darkness, published in 1981, the book that predicts a Wuhan 400 coronavirus military conspiracy, a bioweapon type of virus. The Chinese New Year, January 25th, the year of the rat, the day that began, it was Dean Koontz's 201st day of his age, which is 74. All things that we've talked about over the last couple months. So this World Economic Forum, it is headquartered in Switzerland, and this has been a big theme, Switzerland with this event. Again, when the Knights Templar were booted from France, some of them became pirates, some of them fled to Switzerland, others to Portugal, but Switzerland has become a banker capital of the world. The Knights Templar were the original bankers, and they also had military power. And you think about something like Event 201, which had a lot of world's financial people, bankers, and then you think about how that same day the military world games were starting, which once upon a time began in Rome, and the Knights Templar used to work for the Catholic Church. All roads lead to Rome. Think about it. So what's interesting is where it's headquartered has the gematria of 89. And we talked about how the Bank of International Settlements is 89 years old right now. And again, all this stuff's in Switzerland. The World Health Organization, the Bank of International Settlements, the World Economic Forum. And right now they're using this virus for their order out of chaos agenda. So Virus 89, Chaos 89, the Bank of International Settlements 89 years ago. This place that hosted Event 201 is in the 89 location. Remember, 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. All of the 121's coded all over. 121 has a square root of 11. 11's the master number. They're executing a master plan against us. And we should have all known that this was going to happen ever since September 11th. You know, that was a master plan on the 11th day of the month with Flight AA-11 in New York, the 11th state, with the big buildings that look like 11s. You know, in 1989, in the WWE, they had the major skits with the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers. Go back and watch that skit from 1989 with the WWE. Mean Gene makes it real clear. How are you going to stop these terrorist attacks? And then Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage laughing about it and saying they won't stop until the buildings come crumbling down. Anyway, same numbers again and again. If you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers: the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Notice how chaos is 46, 89, 26. Virus is 89, 46, 26. Chaos also has the 19 code. That's the most pure one. Here we are on the 19th of the month. And one of the biggest economies in the world, California, is going into lockdown at the time the market is already crashing worldwide. You know, you have to think about how many people live in California, how much consumerism and business is there. This is a big deal. This is about more than a virus. This is about, you know, pushing forth an agenda. When you watch this Event 201, if you take the time, I watched a bunch of it tonight because we're going to watch the quick highlights, but there's longer chunks. It's hours long. But there's a lot of talk of getting rid of old ways and moving into new ways for a more connected world, a more global world, a world with more travel and trade. So again, it's real easy to see what's going on here. Again, this is the same thing that we've been warned about, or I don't even know if warned about's the right word, but this is the same phrase we've heard presidents, politicians, news people utter: the New World Order. This is what we are living out right now. This is what it looks like. These people operate by occult knowledge. If If you're laughing at the practice of letters and numbers, it's thousands of years old. It goes back to ancient mysticism, Kabbalah from Babylon, which states God created the world with letters, numbers, and words. These people use knowledge that most people don't have a clue about. They believe in things such as Hermeticism, that everything has a vibration, every letter, every number, every color. And when you know how to use these vibrations, you can use them to control people. Such as, what we were just saying with toilet paper and coronavirus, and how they've created all this hysteria for people to go out and buy out all the toilet paper. They keep using the same number, 56, coronavirus 56, toilet paper 56, mind control 56. Again, this is considered the most pure cipher of the 4 base ciphers. If you could only take one cipher, that's the one to take. It's the one I've taught about the most by far in the going on 7 years I've been doing this. And again, tonight, the California governor mentioned that 56% of the state's population he predicts will have coronavirus within 8 weeks. Order out of chaos. By the way, the 244 encoded in the name of this World Economic Forum, again, the U.S. will turn 244 years old this year. The Bavarian Illuminati will turn 244 years old as well, May 1st, which is the day leaving 244 days left in the year. So that's very interesting. And this World Economic Forum, they changed their name in 1987. They were known as the European Management Forum. Then in 87, they changed to the World Economic Forum. How many years ago was 1987 from 2020? Of course, it was 33 years ago, that number they love. In Gematria, Masonry, Secrecy, Order, Federal, they're all 33. Remember, in Washington, D.C., the city named after the Scottish Rite Freemason, the House of the Temples there, it has 33 pillars on the outside, each 33 feet tall. 33. The man who established this World Economic Forum, he's still alive, Klaus Schwab, and his birthday is March 30th. Not too far from 33 there. And where he was born is just hours outside of Bavaria, where the Bavarian Illuminati was established. I bring that up because his name, Klaus Schwab, has Gematria like Illuminati in 2 of the 4 base ciphers. New World Order also shares that 69, with Klaus Schwab and Illuminati in the same cipher. And we'll talk more about the Illuminati card game in this ritual in just a moment. Again, the Illuminati card game, known for its predictive programming like other cartoons, movies, records, TV shows, other things that have been put out there in pop culture. Before we go to the Illuminati card game, though, again, I just want to revisit the significance of Switzerland. Again, Event 201 was partly hosted by the World Economic Forum, which is headquartered in Switzerland. And then the Bank of International Settlements, the most powerful bank in the world that's going to be bailing out a lot of nations after this planned collapse, they are located in Switzerland. And then the World Health Organization, which is very much connected to this ritual. Remember, on the 56th day of the year, February 25th, the World Health Organization told the people to prepare for global pandemic. Go back and watch that video from February 25th. Another 56 ritual along the way. But the World Health Organization, also in Switzerland. And remember, 3 years, well, almost 3 years to the day. 3 years to the day of the film Pandemic coming out. January 22nd, 2017, Bill Gates was in Switzerland telling the world that in the near future there could be an intentional virus outbreak. He said it could be organic or intentional. He said it January 22nd, 2017 in Switzerland in Davos, that the world needed to be prepared for this. It wasn't. And again, his organization co-hosted Event 201. And the first case in the world outside of China was found in Seattle, Washington, where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is headquartered, where they're now running trials for vaccines. Bill Gates is in that documentary Pandemic that came out January 22nd, the day after the first case was found in Seattle. And He was also in the film The Next Pandemic, which came out November 7, 2019, where he predicted a coronavirus outbreak out of China, likely out of an open air market. So, again, there's a lot of things that matter here. We talked a lot about the 47 in the longer video, but the point I want to make right now is, again, the Knights Templar, the original bankers and military men of the world. You know, if you've ever seen that documentary, All Wars Are Bankers' Wars, well, remember, the Knights Templar, they were warriors and bankers. Again, Event 201, you have a military world games that day, and you have a financial simulation. And the military world games began in Wuhan, and then you have a simulation about a coronavirus outbreak and how the financial institutions will respond, and the pharmaceutical giants. But anyway, the Knights Templar. Once upon a time, they went to Switzerland. Fortified country. Knights Templar 65, Switzerland 65, pandemic 65, year of the rat 65. And remember, Event 201 simulated 65 million people being killed on Melinda Gates' 65th day of her age. Show you this real quick. So experts simulated a coronavirus pandemic last year and it killed 65 million. And Melinda Gates, her birthday is August 15th. The simulation was October 18th, again, her 65th day of her age. Pandemic and simulation 65. And once upon a time when they were married, January 1st, 94, it was 65 days after Bill Gates' 38th birthday. We'll be talking about the Illuminati card game next, which came out in 1982. Seattle's 82. And this year, 2020, is 38 years later. Pandemic 38, lockdown 38. So, in the Illuminati card game, if you never heard of this before, look it up. You know, you got predictive programming for a lot of different things, including 9/11. But they have this epidemic card, which has the Red Cross, like the Knights Templar have the Red Cross. And of course, you know, you think Red Cross, you think of the fundraiser agency that siphons wealth from the world and only gives a small percentage of it to the causes it raises money for. But you see a lot of interesting things here. I mean, you see a needle. Again, you got Bill Gates across the street from the Space Needle, the biggest needle in the world. Corona means crown. Seattle's in King County. Anyway, you got all this symbolism here that relates to the virus and vaccines. And you got the word quarantine. You got a rubber glove and masks. If any of us go out in public, we're all seeing the same thing right now. People in hysteria, grocery stores emptied out, people shopping with rubber gloves and masks on. A lot of people are wearing rubber gloves right now because they're just sketched out. The news vibrations got them all bugged out. But it's also got the word quarantine. And remember, plenty of places are in quarantine right now, from China to Italy to New Rochelle to a growing list of cities. Areas of Miami-Dade, California, etc., etc. A growing list worldwide. Places being made to stay in shelter, quarantine. Remember, the first place to do it in the United States was New York with New Rochelle, and they did that on the anniversary of the release of the film Outbreak, where the military quarantines a town, small suburban town. Talked about how New Rochelle equals Outbreak in Gematria. But anyway, this word quarantine on this Illuminati card game, which is what it's called, check this out. Quarantine and Illuminati have the exact same gematria in 3 of the 4 base ciphers. And remember, the 60 is interesting because on the 60th day of the year, February 29th, Seattle became the first city to ask its citizens 60 and over to self-quarantine. Washington State equals 60. They did it on the 60th day of the year. And that was the same day that you had the first death in the United States. February 29th, the 60th day of the year, which was 39 days after the first patient was found outside of mainland China, which was also in Seattle, Washington. So, 1 death in 39 days. As I make this video, the West Coast, we're barely still on the 79th day of the year. East Coast, it's already the 80th day, which will be March 20th. But that means from 1 death to over 119 days, and they're making it seem like it's going to start multiplying. Again, the simulation says that at the 6th month point, that's where it reaches the tipping point and gets ugly for poor people in mega cities where there are mass deaths. And again, these things remind of, like the FEMA coffins being found a decade ago down in Georgia. Remember, that's the home of the Georgia Guidestones, placed there March 22nd, 1980, about maintaining the Earth's population at 500 million. If we live in a world over 7 billion, that would mean 13 out of 14 people would have to go. And it doesn't mean it's going to happen right now. But again, this is why we need to wake up as a people, spread awareness, share knowledge, and stop this New World Order agenda, this federal tyranny, because it is nothing but a death-killing banker Ponzi scheme. And how sick they'll get with it, only the future knows. I don't. But again, I've been preaching the same thing since September 11th. These people are evil. They don't respect human life. It's all about greed, power, control. And as long as we don't wake up, we're going to get, sheep herded around by the shepherds, if you will. It's going on right now. So anyway, the quarantine card from the Illuminati card game. Interesting. Don't forget, New Rochelle equals 51, like Outbreak equals 51, like Adam Weishaupt equals 51, like Conspiracy equals 51, and the Bavarian Illuminati was established May 1st, 5-1. You think Area 51 when you think conspiracy. If you're a clown, you associate the word tinfoil hat, which equals 51 as well. So, we just talked about all the 65 stuff, right? All the 65 stuff. Again, Switzerland. Where did my example go? Right here. All the 65 stuff. Knights Templar, Switzerland, pandemic, Year of the Rat. 65 million dead in the simulation on Melinda Gates' 65th day of her age. And what's interesting is the Bavarian Illuminati, again established May 1st, 1776, just before the American Revolution. Bavaria, Germany is 65 as well. Again, the cabal are all the power players of all the major secret societies of the world. Again, to me, it looks like an unholy alliance. This game came out in 1982, which was 38 years ago. Illuminati card game. And lockdowns 38 like pandemic. And don't forget, they reported the 38th death in the world on January 25th, which was New Year's Day for the Year of the Rat. And Year of the Rat equals coronavirus. So, big announcement for lockdown here, and we know more to follow. About a week ago, we speculated, could the whole nation be in lockdown by March 22nd, 322? We'll find out soon enough. It's this Sunday. Okay, so Event 201. Again, I got this post. If you come to gematriaeffect.news and search Event 201, you'll find this one, why we were protesting outside Friday. I made this reference sheet, so there's a lot of good posts here that you can learn about. Again, you can verify things like that the World Military Games really did start October 18th, 2019, the same day as Event 201. Again, I'm not one of these channels. There's so many people in the truth community who are like the boy who cried wolf, who fudge numbers, who fudge facts, who twist things. I'm never that way. I just try to be as accurate and honest as possible and as well documented as possible. And I know so many people, they see this code of letters and numbers and they think it's all coincidence. It's because they're not giving any time, because they're not realizing it's a set system, it's mathematics, and it's very redundant, and it's very undeniable when you study it. But again, just this Event 201 stuff, it's all over the place. Today you had the first head of state test positive of Austria. Austria 89, that number we're talking about, his name 201. And again, just I think that to date the most mocking thing though is just this Tom Hanks thing. Again, Mr. Sleepless in Seattle, Mr. Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, Inferno. In the film Inferno, Tom Hanks is chasing a plague, trying to stop a plague from being unleashed on humanity. So Tom Hanks has played in all these relevant roles to this story. And again, he does this social media post with the Corona typewriter. I mean, what's the symbolism of that? The computers are going to be taken away? That's part of the simulation too, you guys. how to contain misinformation. Well, they have to take down the web at times to contain misinformation about the coronavirus. And you have to realize these are the people writing the definitions for these things. Misinformation to them is stuff that goes against their agenda. Information that misinforms people about their lives. You know? That's the age we live in. My channel's been taken down 19 times supposedly for hate speech. I've never done any hate speech. I do fact speech that really irritates some people. That's not hate speech. I just stick to facts. Been deleted 19 times since June of 2017. Remember the Bilderberg conference in June of 2017? At the beginning of the month, one of the bullet points that year was what to do about YouTube truthers, online social media truthers. Days later, my channel was deleted. It's been deleted 19 times since. You know, deleted like 10 times within 4 months after that. They just kept deleting. It was ridiculous. 2 strikes immediately. First 2 videos up, 2 more strikes. Couldn't say anything. Like literally couldn't say anything. I couldn't make a video and say, "Good morning, world. Hello, Vietnam." The video would have got a strike or a strike. Before we watch Event 201, again, I just want to remind that the 89s are all over. They're in the films. They're in the movie Contagion from 2011. Again, 89, the 11th Fibonacci. They're in Tom Hanks' son named Chet Hanks. What kind of name is that? Sounds like shit. Da Vinci Code 89, Chet Hanks for 89, Virus 89. Again, we covered all this earlier. It's in the last video. He's got the 121 birth numerology. They use him for this ritual. He's got the Eye of Providence on his chest. He did this 221 days from his birthday, the Bavarian Illuminati 221. His parents were playing gin rummy, where Tom Hanks has been outscored by 201. Gin rummy's like Illuminati. In the Da Vinci Code movie that Tom Hanks is in, came out on the 139th day of the year like the Bavarian Illuminati. And again, there's a lot to it. But that tattoo on the sun's chest, the Eye of Providence 86, like coronavirus outbreak, I just want to remind people about Taco Bell a few years ago with their Belluminati commercial making fun of Illuminati. And in light of that commercial, I just want to go back and I want to look at the founder of Taco Bell, who died at age 86. He didn't make it to 87. He died at 86, the founder of Taco Bell. His name, Glenn William Bell, was 86. Blood Sacrifice 86, like symbol, like triangle, like pyramid. Again, like Eye of Providence, which is on the dollar bill, which is used to control us, like government, like media. Like poisonous, toxic food like Taco Bell. The food is absolutely part of the mind control. You eat like shit, you think like shit. Consider I've eaten well since I was a teenager. I read about nutrition when I was younger. I knew there was something up with food. Taco Bell was even founded on a date with 86 numerology. You guys remember this Belluminati commercial? They had a different series of them, all making fun of Illuminati stuff. The bell kind of looks like the one-eye symbolism, like the Eye of Providence, or like the Eye of Horus, which are two similar things. The word Providence, by the way, has that Gematria 666 in Sumerian. But 86th to get rid of. The Taco Bell guy got 86th. Coronavirus outbreak. Where did it go? Coronavirus outbreak has that 86. Like Eye of Providence. Again, you guys, I don't want to spread fear, but I'm just saying, this simulation, which we're about to watch, everything that it simulates is accurate so far. It says that after 6 months, it just takes off and attacks poor people in megacities, killing a lot of poor people in megacities. What's going on right now could just be like a mental indoctrination. They might not have even really unleashed the thing that they're going to unleash, but they're just getting everyone familiar with it so they hear about it. And then imagine if it is like the simulation. If all of a sudden there's just this tipping point at 6 months, or at least that's the way it's reported, and, you know, third world, I shouldn't even say third world, mega city poor people. That could be right here in the United States. And in a way, the way they make poor live in this nation might even be the worst of the third world. So maybe that is accurate. Again, the United States has the most wealth disparity in the history of the world of any nation that ever existed. But 86 to get rid of in that Batman film. You know when they show the 3-2-2 on the stadium wall in the Batman film, and then moments later the stadium starts exploding and everybody falls in on the field, but Hines Ward, who finished his career with 86 touchdowns in the NFL and more number 86, he's in this scene and he survives. You know, Hiroshima on 8-6. Asia, always picking on Asia. Asian has that Gematria 44, like military, like kill, and now they've moved the date of patient 0 to November 17th, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. And don't forget that this lockdown coming today, March 19th, 19/3, like 193, the 44th prime. Military's 44, martial law is when the military's in charge. So let me make sure I hit all the slides, and if I did, we'll watch the Event 201 video. Well, I gotta break down the California 40 million lockdown by the 40th governor. We will do that. We'll do that here before we watch the video. So again, the California governor today, March 19th, locked down 40 million. He's the 40th governor. Biblical numbers, biblical themes. He used this figure of 56% should be infected by coronavirus within 8 weeks. It's over half the population. And we keep seeing this number: coronavirus, toilet paper, mind control, and more. Again, from Event 201 to the first reported date of patient 0, December 12th, was 56 days later. But the date of this lockdown, it was a date with 62 and 26 numerology. And notice Torah equals 62 and 26. 40, a big number in the Torah. 40 days and 40 nights, the biblical flood. Old Testament in Gematria sums to 40, like mathematics. The numerology of 40 is 4 plus 0 is 4. The fourth book of the Bible, which is also the fourth book of the Torah, is Numbers. And again, the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible. The fourth book, again, is Numbers. The Bible's a book of numbers. 40 is a big one in it. You know, some examples of 40. 40 years in the wilderness for the Jews. 40 years from the crucifixion of Jesus to the destruction of Jerusalem. 40 days of Moses on the mount receiving the law. Moses' life being divided into 3 sections of 40 years. 40 days given to Nevet. 40 days of etc., etc. So, mathematics 40 with the alphabetic order in reverse 68. Old Testament 40 in reverse 68. Wuhan is 68. We've been talking about 68 left and right, especially with basketball players. Italy, the nation getting it the worst, is 68. Basketball 68. 3 of the first 4 players to test positive for coronavirus all equaled 68. One of them was Kevin Durant, who was drafted by Seattle. Again, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And again, the patterns are super redundant. If you come to my blog and search coronavirus 68, you'll be reading for a while. These numbers are everywhere. We'll be talking about 157 in a moment because they encode it in the article about California, but United States also has the 40 in the most pure cipher. So 40 million under lockdown by the 40th governor of California. United States is also 157. We'll be looking at a headline in a moment to connect that number. Remember, that's the 37th prime number. Virus is also 37. About the United States, though, in the Old Testament is 929 chapters. With the New Testament, it's 1,189 total chapters. Religion equals 260. But anyway, 929 chapters. United States of America and Jewish Gematria is 929. It's also Kevin Durant's birthday since we brought him up, September 29th. But again, none of this is an accident. I tried to write a book when I was about a year and a few months into this research, and it's free on my blog, my old blog, Free to Find Truth. But I called it Revelation and the Birth of a Nation and talked about the Old Testament and I just show how from the beginning to the present, this nation has been a plot executed by this code in tribute to the Bible. And again, it makes sense when you read things like Manly P. Hall's Secret Teachings of All Ages and the many other books he put out, including one saying that the United States of America was founded by Masons who referred to themselves as the Order of the Quest, and their purpose was to create a one-world democracy. Which doesn't sound so bad on the surface, but I mean, if this is what it is, what we're living out right now, this isn't good, you know? A government that wages terrible things against people, from detonating buildings in the middle of one of the most busy cities, New York, to either hoaxing people with a plague or unleashing a plague. I mean, it's one of the two. Suppose we'll know in 6 months or less. But again, you guys, these things are not an accident. We've been talking about these numbers and patterns for a long time. Do you remember when Kevin Durant was the big news story on the 4th of July? Because he was going to the Golden State Warriors. And I pointed out that day, I was like, look at his birthday, 9/29, United States of America. On the nation's birthday, he's the big story. I think that might be the same day the Jupiter probe landed on, or what was it? The Juno probe landed on Jupiter. And Google changed their Google Doodle to something that said Goyim. Anyway, or Goy. But here's this article. Live updates. Coronavirus cases top 243,000 globally. Remember, right now the United States of America is 243 years old. In this article, they write, Italy death toll. The total number of fatalities reported in the country at the new epicenter of the outbreak has now surpassed China's death toll. The number of deaths in Italy reached 3,405 on Thursday, March 19th, 157 more than China's toll, which stands at 3,248. So Italy, 157. We've been talking a lot about a guy from Italy who died on his 157th day of his age this year, Kobe Bryant, 157. Supposedly dead in an accident, another 157. Died on his 157th day of his age, and there's 1,157s in the death of Kobe Bryant. Go back and see the work I did on Kobe. Again, Kobe's now buried in Corona del Mar, which equals 56 forwards, 70 in reverse, just like coronavirus is 56 forwards, 70 in reverse. Martial law is also 70 in reverse. And March 22nd will be 56 days from Kobe's death. So, old 322. Remember, the Georgia Guidestones were set up on March 22nd about population control. Remember, the Purge film, it begins on March 21st and goes into March 22nd. If you haven't seen The Purge, it's about the government creating a new holiday where murder is legalized, and it's about population control and targeting poor urban communities. In the movie series, you find out that the government's purposefully targeting the poor on murder night to get rid of them. And this year, March 21st, is going to be one of those days with the 44-64-day numerology, where we always see death and killing in the headlines. See what they do this year on March 21st. But right now, every day the headlines are busy. Craziness right now. So 243,000 and then the 157 mentioned, all in the same, opening paragraphs. Remember, Kobe Bean Bryant's 243 as well. He died 243 days after Jerry West's birthday, and they're thinking about making Kobe Bryant the logo for the NBA instead of Jerry West. Anyway, I don't think it's an accident they stuck these numbers in the story. That's about, this is all part of the article with California. And again, Kobe grew up in Italy and yada, yada, yada. Today, that California goes on lockdown, it's a span of 54 days from Kobe's death. It's 53 days after, or a span of 54 days. Kobe Bean Bryant, 54. Los Angeles, 53. LA is in a semi-lockdown right now as well, and could very well get worse, say, come March 22nd. Okay, so for a bit more on this California governor, again, Gavin Newsom, take a look at his name. Gavin Newsom, 142, 155, 56. Coronavirus, 142, 155, 56. Remember, the NBA suspended its play on the 142nd day of the season. Year of the Rats, 142. Another number we've talked an awful lot about in the ongoing rituals and news stories by the numbers. Coronavirus also has the 70 like martial law. I believe California was one of the states that participated in Jade Helm in 2015, the military lockdown domestic drill. Mainstream media made fun of the people who brought attention to it, referred to them as coincidence theorists being too paranoid. Again, the media tries to downplay the things that people should be questioning. No one should be overly paranoid, but everyone should have a degree, a little bit of paranoia in them in light of the nation they're living in. Unless you just want to, be completely oblivious to the lies and deception that take place in this nation every single day, some days a lot more significant than others, such as the 11th day of the 9th month in the year 2001. From Gavin Newsom's birthday to this incident was exactly 23 weeks later. Again, Wuhan's got that 23 connection. And Newsom alone has that gematria of 89. Numbers showing up everywhere. 89 and 26 like virus. Remember, these governors, these politicians, they're Manchurians. They are like chessboard handcrafted pieces made to fit their specific role. We are living out a planned agenda by the numbers. No doubt about it. Okay, now I think I covered all the main points. Again, if you do have Sirius XM, something to laugh about is that channel 121's been made the coronavirus channel. Again, we've been talking about 121 nonstop way before this happened. It just goes to show it's all numerical ritual. Sirius is the dog star. It's one of the most important objects in the night sky to the Freemasons. Masonry is based in Kabbalah. Kabbalah says God created the world with letters, numbers, and words. When you understand who's owning and operating these things, you can understand why they do these rituals. LA, city to keep an eye on. L12A1. And remember, California and pandemic have a lot in common. Again, if you're new here, 2 websites, gematriaeffect.news or gematrinator.com. They both have calculators that start with the 4 base ciphers. And if you type in words, you can see. Oh, I know, I'm tripping actually. California is 65 like pandemic. I know what the overlap is with California. It's Year of the Rats. Year of the Rats. And California's got the double overlap. California's also 52 in the most pure cipher, like government. Right now, Gavin Newsom's 52 years old. Authority's 52. Kabbalah's 52. Gematria's 52. Tree of Life's 52. The Cabal 52. Symbolic. Earth is 52. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I think we hit all the main points. We even covered just like how Trump's story about crossing out Corona and writing Chinese for virus. This is today's story, March 19th, 6226 date numerology, Chinese virus 62. Again, just all news by the numbers. By the way, with regards to all the Illuminati symbolism and California, one of the world's biggest markets, being halted essentially right now, watch what the market does tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the 80th day of the year. The day prior, it went up 188 points. Again, the U.S. dollar bill denominations add up to 188. Bavarian Illuminati's 188 and 80. Tom Hanks is a big part of this riddle. Again, he was in the Da Vinci Code chasing the Illuminati. In Inferno, he's trying to stop a plague. But watch what the market does tomorrow now with the halting of California and likely other states to follow. Things could get ugly. All right. What I'm going to do when I watch this event 201, it's 11 minutes long. For people who need to get off, I'm just going to skip to about 10-minute mark. We'll watch from there, and then we'll start it over and watch from the beginning. But just, for people with short attention spans, listen. Listen carefully.
The outcome of the CAPS pandemic in Event 201 was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months. The outbreak was small at first and initially seemed controllable, but then it started spreading in densely crowded and impoverished neighborhoods of megacities. From that point on, the spread of the disease was explosive. Within 6 months, cases were occurring in nearly every country. The global economy was in a free fall. The GDP down 11%. Stock markets around the world plummeted between 20 and 40% and headed into a downward cycle of fear and low expectation. Businesses were not borrowing, banks were not lending. Everyone was just hoping to hunker down and weather the storm. Economists say the economic turmoil caused by such a pandemic will last for years, perhaps a decade. The societal impacts, the loss of faith in government, the distrust of news, and the breakdown of social cohesion could last even longer. We have to ask, did this need to be so bad? Are there things we could have done in the 5 to 10 years leading up to the pandemic that would have lessened the catastrophic consequences? We believe the answer is yes. So, are we as a global community now finally ready to do the hard work needed to prepare for the next pandemic?
It's creepy when you realize that, these people, it was more than a simulation, it was planning, it was a mocking. And let's now watch it from the beginning. But again, the fact that it goes after the megacities and the poor, that makes sense from a eugenics point of view, right? And again, you have to think about the reality of this situation. There's all of these governments in the world, like the United States. They have all of these social spending programs. A lot of them started after World War II. And that generation after World War II, which is huge, they're requiring a lot of expenditures. These systems were houses of cards from the beginning, giant Ponzi schemes. Now that the systems are pretty much impossible to sustain, is this the New World Order's answer? Get rid of these people? I think about people like my parents' age who are in their late 60s, who've worked their whole life. They're thinking that if they work into their early 70s and then they accept their Social Security, they can get a big enough payment each month to try and live modestly but enjoy the last few years of their life without working. What if people like my parents, that age group I'm just saying, what if they really do unleash like a plague that targets, elderly and, again, they target it at poorer communities? What if they do that? That worked their ass off their whole life and paid into something that they thought they were finally going to get. They don't even get to enjoy it. I mean, that's the way this world is. It's how these people operate. They do not care or respect human life. They use us like gears in a machine. So this is really what people need to think about. And I'm hoping that this simulation, what's going on right now, I'm hoping it's going to end up being a big April Fool's joke and just come to a screeching halt on April 1st, which I also wouldn't put past them. But the point is, if that did happen, let's just say they just brought this all to an end on April 1st. Oh, April Fool's, life's back to, NBA's back on, everything's good, we're starting baseball up, et cetera, throughout the world. If they did do that, we would still not want to go back to sleep. Eventually, they are going to do this to us. Those Georgia Guidestones tell us what the future of this world is. I'll remind people, next year, 2021, March 22nd, March 22nd, 2021, that's when those Guidestones will turn 41 years old. And don't forget, Skull and Bones equals 41. Like Herbert Walker, the Skull and Bones member, Mr. New World Order, he was number 41. Died on November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41. Told you why he wasn't going to live past 94 or the month of November in 2018. All by understanding these numbers. But now let's watch Event 201. This isn't the full thing. Realize there's hours worth of this simulation. But this 11-minute, 45-second clip, I'm just thinking about how long they made this highlight clip. If you think about hands on a watch like 11 and 45 seconds, it would be like 11 and 9, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's just watch this. Let's watch this, and I'll try not to interrupt too much. Just pay attention and listen. But this highlight reel is pretty good at capturing the main points, at least so far from what I've seen. So this is the simulation of Event 2.1, the coronavirus outbreak. in the near future. It was done October 18th, 2019, same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan. It was co-hosted by the World Economic Forum, Johns Hopkins University, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. There were other major corporations and bankers there to plan out how you would respond to this pandemic. And just look at all the things they talk about. The trillions lost in the economy. What happens to pretty much everything we're seeing right now. Just watch this. I mean, it's sick. And also recognize 2-1, how their logo for 201 is the world is the 0. So 2-1 are the numbers that are clear. Remember, fear is 21. They're spreading fear everywhere. And realize, if I'm spreading fear to you, that is not my intention. I'm just saying it's better to be prepared. And really who I'm looking out for are the poor people of the world. I hope every poor person in the world gets their hands on this information so that they can realize, what kind of scheming is going on and why they need to help wake up their fellow man. Because if this is just like an experiment, it's not to say that in some years' time, 10 years' time, however many years' time, but at some time probably not too far into the future, this is what could really happen. So here we go. And again, the WHO, that's the World Health Organization headquartered in Switzerland, like the Bank of International Settlements and like the World Economic Forum, which has been under that name for 33 years. Kind of reminds me of like how in 1968, 911 became the National Emergency Dialing Code, World Trade Center construction began, George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliner, 2001 A Space Odyssey came out, etc., all 33 years before 2001. 2-1 again. 2-1. 2001, 2-1. Fear 21. That was 19 years ago. Chaos 19. The Masonic agenda, order out of chaos. The moon does the perfect reset in the sky every 19 years. And I just thought about how moon equals 21 in the most pure cipher, like fear and Jesuit. I wonder if there's some sort of relationship there. Start thinking about like horror movies and the moon and full moons and howling werewolves. Anyway, let's just watch this.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread.
By the way, this is how the movie Contagion, or this is how the contagion spreads in that film. Through the pigs. Swine flu. Don't cast your pearls before swine. Here we go.
Silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from...
And just so you're not confused, this is a simulation that took place October 18, 2019. This is not, like a recap of what's going on right now in the world. This is a simulation and prediction October 18th, 2019.
Mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died. Experts agree, unless it is quickly controlled, it could lead to a severe pandemic, an outbreak that circles the globe and affects people everywhere.
The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic. The board is comprised of highly experienced leaders from business, public health, and civil society.
We could be looking at double the number of cases in 1 week and 16 times as many in a month if we are not able to stop the spread. That would be on the order of 500,000 cases, and it would continue to rise exponentially. In 3 months, we could be approaching 10 million cases.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business.
Johns Hopkins University, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Remember, they both sum to 121, like coronavirus outbreak 121, like World Health Organization 121, and the first case in the U.S., January 21st, 121. in Seattle, Washington, where the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is headquartered. Now, Sirius XM Channel 121 is the Coronavirus Outbreak Channel. And if you turn on that channel, it's just meant to irritate you. It's meant to instill you with fear and panic and confusion.
And governments working together.
We have known about caps-like viruses in animals and people for decades, but have not been successful at developing a licensed vaccine. And sure, there are new technologies that may help, but it's going to be difficult. I am not optimistic about having a vaccine in time to be relevant during this pandemic.
So the policy crisis in question for this board in this meeting is this. How should governments, business, and international organizations allocate and distribute pandemic antivirals and medical supplies to the people who need them most?
What we've seen work very well in the HIV field is, in fact, procurement through the Global Fund. So having a centralized mechanism, so financially able to procure on behalf of affected countries can be critical. I think the second thing is it's going to be very important that for the business sector, for manufacturers of antivirals, that we have clarity around what the need is and where the need is and who are making the decisions.
I think that given that the countries most affected are those that are low and middle income countries with unequal access to technology, to finances, the UN has a worldwide footprint, universally recognized, and universal membership.
A global stockpile would certainly help ensure more rational and strategic allocation, but the reality is that we don't have the logistics capability, even within the UN, to bring that together in one place and run it. So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day, understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be.
Just to underscore the point that cooperation among supply chain providers or businesses that have huge supply chains can add a lot of efficiency to the whole process.
The question is, can you, through this international mechanism, really promote commitments to doing this as quickly as possible and give people a sense that actually if they contribute more, that they will have a better chance of protecting their own populations and their country's security and health.
So to be completely clear, most of this production would already be committed in contracts.
Yes.
It is almost unheard of that people are producing product without having a forward commitment for the consumption of that product. So the first thing that needs to be done, because this is not something that the countries currently control, unless countries are going to bring about emergency situations and co-opt an existing supply chain.
I think it's not likely, I agree, that countries are not going to buy countermeasure to put into a global supply without retaining a large portion of it for themselves.
Public health agencies have issued travel advisories, while some countries have banned travel from the worst affected areas. As a result, the travel sector is taking a huge hit. Travel bookings are down 45%, and many flights have been canceled. A ripple effect is racing through the service sector. Governments that rely on travel and tourism as a large part of their economies are being hit particularly hard.
How should national leaders, businesses, and international organizations balance the risk of worsening disease that would be caused by the continued movement of people around the world against the risks of profound economic consequence of travel and trade bans?
If there's some sense that there's a UN institution that can do all of this, then I worry we're suffering from a delusional disorder on the power of the UN. It's really important to get those industries and their trade associations and an efficient leadership established, which is decentralized, but has a collective responsibility and accountability. And that needs to be supported by the public leadership.
What is essential, what is non-essential travel, we have to clarify this. Otherwise, if we go down to 20% bookings over a long period, the company will run down. That's a fact.
There's a whole complex set of issues in a highly interdependent world on supply chains that are just in time. We need to think about how much flex there is in that just-in-time supply chain system and make sure it keeps running. I think it's going to take specificity, and it's going to take knowledge that only the private sector has. The UN can play an important coordinating facilitation role, but the companies know where those commodities are, where they move, how to move them. And that's where a type of public-private collaboration that we have not generally had in these crises needs to be put together pretty quickly.
I mean, do you hear what he's saying? We need more of a collaboration between public and private. I mean, that's government and private. That's already happening, but he's just saying we essentially need more fascism. We need more fascism. And more oneness. Again, one world order, new world order, one clear agenda, an agenda that doesn't serve the majority of the people, but the very few, the very super powerful and rich. And realize, I mean, all of this is being contrived. Order out of chaos.
We are not out of money yet. But the fact is we are trending in a dangerous direction and something needs to change.
So the policy question for this board...
The financial guy, his name is Dave Gamble. I mean, doesn't that just seem like it's a mockery in itself? Dave Gamble, the financial guru. I mean, this is the actual Event 201 simulation. Again, these are the highlights of the longer event.
Now, is how should financial resources be prioritized? Are there nodes that we cannot allow to fail? What is your sense of priorities? We don't have money to pay for all of these urgent problems.
So at the moment, we want the fund, right? You need the money. So where's the money? So government kind of supplies some money. A lot of, private sectors, some are sitting here, so you have some money. But now you need a really coordinated, centralized effort.
Hotels will be experiencing, crippling losses doing that. And we know that the hotel business in itself makes up 5% of the GDP.
Governments need to be willing to do things that are out of their historical perspective, or for the most part, it's really a war footing that we need to be on.
We shouldn't underestimate the power of entrepreneurship. We need to escalate that, whether it's through the government's helping with tax breaks or subsidies of that nature to increase manufacturing of those types of products. It can happen quickly. A Marshall-type plan, don't mean to say that exactly, but a Marshall Plan that can go into effect can stimulate change very quickly.
And again, very quickly. Again, we're told our whole lives things take time. Things are slow with government. But anytime there's one of these contrived ordeals, you just see how fast everything is. Laws change, rights taken away, major lending for banks, and just boom. Just like that, $1 trillion more debt. Because 100 people are supposedly dead. Again, in a nation where every few minutes people by the hundreds die from preventable disease and illness. Being taken for fools, but at the same time, what more do they have planned? I mean, we're going through a major transition point. And again, for those of you who've been with me from the beginning, this is why I've been working day and night for 7 years straight. I've said, I don't know if it's 5 years away, I don't know if it's 100 years away, I don't know if it's 10, 20. I said, but all I know is each day we're getting closer to the day where they pull the rug out from under us and put us on this big transition. Again, if you've read the very first post that I ever wrote about, which I talked about all the time when I started this channel back in 2013, I've been talking about the Georgia Guidestones and how we're ruled over by psychopaths and killers and banker tyrants, and they've come to power through murder and money and interest. So, I mean, again, it's not about fear, it's about awareness, and it's about waking up enough people to overthrow this, because till the day they do it, it's not too late.
Countries are reacting in different ways as to how best to manage the overwhelming amounts of dis and misinformation circulating over the internet. In some cases, limited internet shutdowns are being implemented to quell panic.
How much control of information should there be, and by whom? And how can false information be effectively challenged? And what if that false information is coming from companies or from governments?
I think it's very important that we make sure that there is concise communication with all healthcare facilities where these patients are being treated so that there isn't mass panic.
We're at a moment where the social media platforms have to step forward and recognize the moment to assert that they're a technology platform and not a broadcaster is over. They, in fact, have to be a participant in broadcasting accurate information and partnering with the scientific and health communities to counterweight, if not flood the zone of accurate information.
And again, I mean, this is one of the most dangerous parts of this discussion because, again, he's talking about people like me. And YouTube's already done this. I mean, you cannot search for the content you want to find anymore as a truth seeker on YouTube. You know, you want to search, you can type in anything. What's going to come up is the mainstream gunk and just pages and pages of it. Unless you're already subscribed to a channel that you're aware of, you're probably not going to find any new truth-related content on these topics. You have to already know about what channels exist in the world. If you don't know about those channels, you are probably not finding their work. And they continue to say this needs to go further and further. I mean, that guy's comment, the social media platforms need to realize that they're not a broadcaster. You know, just we, the mainstream, we're the broadcasters, and you're going to broadcast our message. I mean, it's like, dude, this has been going on now. It's just, again, you guys, I saw it all coming in 2013. I was like, I already saw it was coming way before that. I saw it back in 2001, but in 2013, I was just hearing the things they were saying in media because this kind of noise was just starting. It was after Sandy Hook and shutting down these online psychopaths and these people that question official narratives and put out all this information, this false information that hurts people. It's just unbelievable to listen to when it's coming from the mainstream media that always poisons the well, that just pushes nonstop negativity and confusion and false information and dupes people into all sorts of shit throughout history. It's the mainstream media that's always led people into needless wars based on bogus accusations, unsupported evidence, and then for them to have the audacity to say that, oh, these people questioning official narratives, you know, they really need to be weeded out at this moment when we have this great pandemic. And they're talking about this during the simulation. Oh my God. It's just, oh man. I just don't know how more people don't see what's going on, man. It's the most mind-blowing thing how more people don't see it. From 9/11 to the chemical skies to even this hysteria right now. But I got to be honest, just being out in public and talking to people, I feel like a lot of people actually are kind of like, something doesn't feel right about this. You know, even people who, you know, wouldn't really dive down many trails, if you will. I hear people talking in the store when I'm out in public like, things don't make sense. Yeah, they don't. All right, let's finish this up.
Because to put the genie back in the bottle of the misinformation and disinformation is nigh impossible.
One thing we haven't spoken about, and I'm wondering whether it's time to talk about this, is a step up from the part of the governments on enforcement actions against fake news.
I personally do not believe that trying to shut things down in terms of information is either practical or desirable. And we do have, I think, a couple of strategies that are available to us, one of which is the flood strategy, second of which is relying and informing and equipping trusted sources of information with the fact.
Did you hear what she said? She's like, I'm not for censoring information, but I have another way to do it. The flood tactic. What do you think that is? That's what I just talked about. How if you search for anything, it doesn't matter what you search for. Like, if, for example, if you were looking for people who are trying to show things that don't make sense about the coronavirus reporting, so if you typed in coronavirus hoax reporting or something like that, you're not going to find anything like that. You're going to find pages and pages of mainstream news about coronavirus headlines. The same ones you're trying to see if anybody's doing any research on if things are wrong. Like what I'm putting out, showing you what's very wrong with these headlines. Just how orchestrated and perfectly coordinated they all are. So what just the way she comes in like, oh, I'm not for censorship, but I am for flooding out the truth. Oh man, hate these people.
So they can then pass that on. But we also need to actually think about a technological answer to this.
The outcome of the CAPS pandemic in Event 201 was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months. The outbreak was small at first and initially seemed controllable, but then it started spreading in densely crowded and impoverished neighborhoods of megacities. From that point on, the spread of the disease was explosive. Within 6 months, cases were occurring in nearly every country. The global economy was in a free fall. The GDP down 11%. Stock markets around the world plummeted between 20 and 40%.
See how they had to start that number barrage with 11%. Again, the master number, right?
And headed into a downward cycle of fear and low expectation. Businesses were not borrowing, banks were not lending. Everyone was just hoping to hunker down and weather the storm. Economists say the economic turmoil caused by such a pandemic will last for years, perhaps a decade. The societal impacts, the loss of faith in government, the distrust of news, and the breakdown of social cohesion could last even longer. We have to ask, did this need to be so bad? Are there things we could have done in the 5 to 10 years leading up to the pandemic that would have lessened the catastrophic consequences? We believe the answer is yes. So, are we as a global community now finally ready to do the hard work needed to prepare for the next pandemic?
Okay. Well, the phones have been busy in the background. So, I'll pick up the phone if anybody wants to call in the 509 number. It is getting late though, so I don't want to stay on too much longer, but I see somebody from a 414 area code's called about 1,000 times. But all of you who called in, the line is now open. So unless everybody went to bed. If so, we could wrap it up there. Let me check in with the chat real quick. Oh, we got a call from Utah. What's going on, Utah?
Is this Zach?
Yes, it is.
Hi. I have a lot of information to do with the death of Mac Miller. That's how I found your research. So he put out his album on obviously August 3rd. 8-3 and died 38 days later on 9/7, which is like death, 97.
Right.
So, this also comes at the same time that now Eminem has dropped his album Murder, Music to Be Murdered By, right?
And he did that on the day. He did that the same day the Mac Miller album came out. Eminem, right? Mac Miller. Right. Yeah, I covered all this stuff. I mean, it's interesting, but I did do a video presenting this information. Caller?
But, from, Juice WRLD's seizure.
I do, man.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
From that day to the release of Music to Be Murdered By was 1 week, 1 month, and 3 days, like 113.
Right.
And,
hey, man, listen, caller, it's not that I don't appreciate this. I love to hear other people are doing the work, and all this is interesting, but I want to talk about the Event 201 and the stuff going on right now more than the rapper deaths, unless you have a connection with their deaths in this.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you, though.
All right, man, take care. Caller?
Hey, how's it going, Zach?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? So, yeah, I was just, I just wanted to bring up a few things that have been kind of going over my mind.
Okay.
One of them, just to, I don't know if you were aware, I was just like kind of correct you or let you know the name of that show. That I don't know if you were talking about the episode of End of Days with the Kobe helicopter. The name of the show, I think you already knew this though, was
Chamberlain Heights?
Legends of Chamberlain Heights.
Right, but the name of that specific episode is End of Days.
Yeah, okay. I was just letting you know. Also, in that, I don't know if you were aware, in that season or in that show, they also had a episode about the Hurricane Harvey or whatever. I think it was in the same city, and they called it Hurricane Germain. And I thought also that was kind of interesting. It was obviously before the event took place, kind of foreshadowing it.
Does that episode come before or after the Kobe episode?
I can't remember because I haven't seen that. I've been trying to find that show, but I can't find it. I haven't seen it since the season came out in like 2016. I think it might have been before it, but I'm not exactly sure. But I'm wondering if they also, like, what other things they had in that show, in that season. But those are the two things I can remember from that show.
Sure.
Was that Hurricane Germain.
I could see them making this year really crazy with the virus, the economic stuff. Once flood and hurricane season comes, I can see how they lay it on. It's just like I was telling people last year. I told people last year, man, wake up. I said the time is near with what their agendas been pointed out all last year. I was saying if it's not August 11, 2019, it's not going to be too much longer after August 11, 2019. And been warning people, man, because, again, Acts 7:6, the prophecy of 400 years of a slaves and a nation mistreated, that ended August in 2019. And then the next verse after that about the 400-year mistreatment of slaves in a foreign land, which, again, in the history books, that was August 2019. The next verse is about how that same nation gets punished. So I've been like, Acts 7:7, United States 77, we'll see what's coming, man.
Yeah, and I think one of the flights was United 77.
On 9/11, yeah, Flight 77 hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian, 77 minutes after taking off, etc., etc. So.
Another thing that came to mind, I don't know why it came to mind for me today regarding 9/11, sports reference was, I don't know if you've brought this up before, but I just thought it was an interesting connection that when the Spurs, the Twin Towers of David Robinson and Tim Duncan, their only finals appearance together happened to be against the New York Knicks, where the Twin Towers were, and the whole 9/11 thing. I just thought that was kind of...
That's a good point, man. They did used to call them the Twin Towers.
Yeah, and they beat New York, so it was kind of a symbolic thing there.
Indeed, yeah, that's a good point.
Another thing I was thinking of was the movie, I know you've probably obviously seen it, I don't know how recently, but the movie, I just watched it kind of recently, the movie 23 with Jim Carrey, which is I don't know if they purposely made it the ugliest, worst quality filming so no one would want to watch it, but that whole, it literally, there was one scene I noticed, I didn't notice the first time I saw it, but recently when I watched it, there was one scene where it literally shows the whole A is 1 and Z is 26, the little Gematria.
It's where he's explaining how the color pink equals 23, and he does it in this confusing way, but it is true that pink's 23 in the most pure cipher, so yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought it was funny that my birthday, after I watched it, I was kind of creeped out. My birthday added up to 23. But there was another Jim Carrey movie. I'm going to try and look into it more. I just remember another Jim Carrey movie where he was doing all these riddles. And from a long time ago, I can't remember exactly what it was, where he would have these, cut out the, newspaper.
It's from Batman. He plays the Riddler in Batman and does it in that movie, too.
That's what it was.
Yep, he does. Yep, Jim Carrey, they used him in 2 movies to introduce Gematria.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of that, too. Another thing, I apologize if you've already... mentioned this, but I haven't heard it recently, but I was thinking you've been talking a lot about the whole 121 connections with this whole coronavirus thing, and I was thinking, what was I thinking? Oh, you talked about the first, you mentioned the first, I think it was in the Wuhan, China, the first day that they found the first, victim 0 or whatever it was on the 12th, and then they moved it back to they said it was on the 1st.
Yeah, from the 12th to the 8th to the 1st to November 17th. Yep.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know about the November 17th. I thought the farthest back was the 1st, and I was just noticing that it was 12/1, and that was 121 as well. But I didn't know about the November 17th. My apologies.
Yeah, and then we noticed how the Resident Evil video game, which has some parallels, it came out on a date with 121 numerology, March 22nd, 96, and then part 2 of that game came out on January 21st, so I have a feeling there's a lot of 121s that are related to this thing, but, yeah, again, predictive programming, so.
Yeah.
All right, man, I appreciate it. I'm going to move on. You have a good night. What's up, caller?
Hey, Zach, this is Gemini. Oh, my goodness.
Gemini, your new song's coming out tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, my God. They released it already. Shout out to everybody that likes to release my stuff a little early, even though I don't be breaking the millions. They feel like they try to, they trying to take me down, but it's cool. It's cool, whatever.
So did they put it out today?
What'd you say?
Did they put it out on March 19th?
Yeah, it's out right now. I got an email today.
And you wanted it to come out tomorrow, Friday, right?
Yeah.
That kind of creeps me out because it's about murder by numbers, and so they put it out on the 79th day of the year, and murder is 79? That's weird.
Shut that. Lord, every time I call you, I don't know. No, really?
Yeah, that's weird that they did that. That is weird that they did that.
Wow. And it's weird. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up and just like finally caught you. Everything is weird. Oh my God, that's not cool.
Yeah, that's strange that they did that. It just makes me wonder. So I don't know who the company is that you're working with, but yeah, that's curious.
Oh, Zach, come on, man. Look up my numbers. Help me out. Send me an email. Something.
You mean your artist name? Here, let me check it out real quick. I know your name. Let's see.
I swear, Gemini, the Queen. I mean, I looked it up before.
Let's see. Oh, well, it would have been perfect if you had it come out the day that you did, because that's the 80th day of the year, and Gemini the Queen's 80 in the most pure cipher, so that would have been the perfect release date for you. But,
You said when?
what's that? If it would have come out March 20th, that's the 80th day of the year.
That would have been perfect, but it came out the day before.
And so they did the murder thing with it. Well, in a way, it still works out, but yeah, that's interesting that you chose a date and they went with a different one, so...
Well, it's not the first time, but damn, I done forgot why I called. Now you done knocked me all off balance. Oh, Lord.
Was it about the Event 201 thing?
What'd you say?
Was it about the Event 201 video?
It was in, I can't even remember right now. Like, you really just fully threw me off.
I'm sorry.
Like, I'm so far off, but like, oh my gosh. Okay. Gather my bearings. No, I just really wanted to know how you feel in terms of what all this that's going on. Like, are you concerned? Do you really think like we're trying to, or we should be trying to like really lock it down, get our shit all the way together, inside and outside of the numbers? Like, is it really gonna be like that big?
Well, I honestly don't know the answer to that, but I don't like that their simulation says after 6 months of the breakout, just like it just takes off in poor mega cities. So most of us don't live in mega cities. I'd say those are probably the 20 biggest cities in the world, and I know New York makes the top 10 list. I think Los Angeles makes the top 20 list. But again, I mean, for the people in those communities, I would want to make sure that I was on point and I was prepared in case they did anything crazy. So, I mean, again, we live in a world where, again, psychopaths are running the show, and I always like to think that, when they're going to do their crazy movement, their Georgia Guidestones ritual, it's further down the road. But, I mean, it could be, the starting point could be as soon as, say, this summer. So... Again, Google linked that World War III date, which could have just been a thing to add paranoia, but it is weird that they put that out on May 6th and then they took it down, so we'll have to see. But That's why, I mean, to me, it's like somehow we just need to make this information go viral and have enough people show up, like in the federal government, and say, look, I'm not paying any taxes. I'm not doing nothing until all this comes to an end and somebody starts speaking some facts. I mean, there just has to be some sort of stand before the day comes. That's the way I feel. So I maintain this optimism that it's not so soon, because I can't really see humanity standing up in the next few months. It's going to take longer than that. So.
Yeah, it's scary. You know, I'm still in the gutter bucket of Dayton, Ohio, so it's now starting to go down fully in Ohio. Everything's about to shut down too.
I saw your guys' headlines today. What did it say? 119 new cases, 33 deaths, or something like that out of Ohio. I saw some headline like that today.
Yeah, and then like the youngest was 2, and the oldest was 91, and then 33 people were coming back to Ohio off the cruise ship.
Familiar numbers. I mean, those numbers remind me of 9/11, 33 years later. So, yeah, I mean.
Lord. Zach, I'm going to have to send you some emails or something so we can. You calling out these dates. Maybe I need to call you before I release something so you can tell me what not to do or something, because I ain't trying to get set up.
Sure. Yeah, I just be safe out there. I mean, you are in that recording industry, and so.
Alright, this is crazy. Well, yeah, it's almost 4 o'clock. Yeah, I'm super tired. I know.
All right, well, get some rest, and we'll hope for the best. All right, you take care.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
man, love to you, Zach.
All right, you have a good night. Support Gemini the Queen. All right, take care. Caller, you're on. Caller?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah, hey, Zach.
What's up?
So, I wanted to just real quick, I know it's late, but I wanted to say, my uncle owns a radio station. I'm in Arizona. My uncle owns a radio station. My cousin does the morning show, and he'd love to have you on. I just thought maybe it would help get the word out.
Where do I gotta be and when? I'm doing it.
Okay. I need to speak with him. Is there any way I can talk to you after the fact?
Well, this number is the way to reach me, so I can save your number as the contact.
Yeah. Save this number, get back to me, and then we'll set up a date and time. Because we can really reach a lot of people through the radio station. It's 99.1 Maxima, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so just shoot me a text or give me a call, and we can speak about that. I know it's late. I don't want to hold you up too long.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. Appreciate it.
All right, I appreciate you.
All right, take care, man. See you.
All right, you too. All right, bye.
For the person calling from Switzerland, here's the way to contact me. I don't want to take a call because my phone charges too much per minute for long distance calls like that. For Switzerland, contact me through Skype. Free to find truth. All one word. Free to find truth. Just like the website. freetofindtruth.com. So send me a friend request on Skype, and you can call me through Skype, and then we can talk for free. Oklahoma City, what's up?
Hey, what's good, Zach? This is Alec. I'll make it quick. I don't know if you've seen the OPEC and Russia deal that went wrong, where Putin pretty much gave the middle finger to Saudi Arabia, and that's pretty much what has crashed, the oil market.
Well, that whole thing was by the numbers, too. That was on the 68th day of the year, and Saudi Arabia dropped their future prices by $6 down to $8 a barrel on the 68th day of the year, and market 68. That was all part of the New World Order market manipulation. But yeah, we covered that.
And I feel like that's to hide the failing economy here, because right before then there was no pandemic. Like you said, you felt like you were sick with the corona, and I have an aunt that feels like she was too, but it was never a pandemic here yet. But then once all that stuff went down with OPEC, now all of a sudden, like, we got shut down everything, with all the CEOs quitting and everything. But I just thought I'd bring that up. But yeah, I'll let you go and move on to the next caller.
All right, appreciate it, man. Good observation. Thank you. Caller? Oh, they hung up. Let's see. Switzerland hasn't contacted me on Skype. But yeah, you just follow the numbers. You just see how it's all news by the numbers. What's up, caller?
Hey, Zach, what's going on, man?
Just doing another live stream.
All right, so I wanted to ask you something about how you do your research. Obviously, you know, you put it all out there, and you do a good way of explaining it. But like when you start, like, do you already have a list, or is it just like all memorized of like the connections you make with, like, for example, like Masonic and Freemasonry and the Jesuits, and the numbers connecting with like the headlines? How do you do that?
Well, I do have a lot of stuff memorized, but when I always start to decode a story that I don't know anything about, I just look if there's any like repeating numbers that came up. Like when I started to decode this whole thing back when we first started, 121 was showing up. And I was like, there's something about 121. Next thing you know, there's 10 more 121 headlines. And all of a sudden, SiriusXM has made the channel for the coronavirus outbreak 121. And it's just things like that that show that you're on the right track. It's like, okay, I'm documenting that number, and now like things like this are happening. So,
well, how do you get to that with the technicality of like the phrase though? Because like coronavirus doesn't have 121, but coronavirus outbreak.
Well, that was the day those headlines came out. Coronavirus outbreak on January 21st.
Also, what news stations do you follow to like get the headlines? Is it like the most like?
I'm usually looking at CNN, but I mean, they all do it. All the major news outlets encode the same type of way, but I usually focus on CNN. They seem to be the most consistent with it. So.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of research of like trying to like follow it more and be able to like predict stuff. Like I already have like watch today already, as in like today's the 80th day, and the numerology is 7 and 43.
Well, it's just like I said, days ago. I said, watch when the 78th day of the year comes. It's very possible we get a headline that day about West Virginia being the last state to get a Wuhan coronavirus case. And that's exactly what happened. March 18th, that was the headline. Wuhan coronavirus 78, West Virginia 78. So, I mean, a lot of it's predictable. But, and again, it's kind of... Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a question. You were talking about how, like, the Jesuits, they rival the Catholics, even though they're both Catholics.
They don't rival the Catholics. The Jesuits serve the Catholics. The Bavarian Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati was formed to go after the Jesuits.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, so pertaining to the coronavirus, like, are you expecting martial law soon? What's your whole take on that?
Well, about a week ago, I said if they're going to do martial law, I suspect it'll happen in the first city on March 22nd, 322. So, we'll see.
All right, yeah. I tried emailing you some pictures again for get it from the Scottish Rite Masonic Museum. I also posted it on Freedom for Truth. Hopefully a lot of people got to see that, where it backed a lot of your information from the Masons themselves. So
I know. Okay, you sent me that email multiple times, and I still haven't looked at it because I'm not seeing it. So
yeah, I also texted you on this phone when I called you when you're in Seattle. You told me to like text you.
Okay, 720. I got to look at your number afterwards. It's because I get so overwhelmed, man. I got phone calls coming in all day and just a million things to look at. I mean, it's like impossible treadmill to keep up with. So.
Yeah, it's also on Freedom to Truth, that website that you have.
Sure. Sure. All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Yeah, everybody take care. All right, later.
Take care. See you. Okay, and I got to remember to save phone numbers right now. I got to call the guy with the radio show. It's just too much information every single day. Like, how deep is that guy's call already from? Caller?
Yeah, Zach?
Yeah.
Oh, let me just mute the video right here. I wanted to know, can you check a post I did on your website?
Right now?
Yeah, it's quick. It's just quick.
No, I mean, did you just post it right now? Like, how far do I got to scroll?
Oh, just on the search, you put on, you type in
as in Pedro, E as in Echo, P as in Pedro, and the face of an Aztec is gonna pop out, and you just click on it. And I wanted to know if you could check a picture.
Here, let me see.
So yeah, so on your website, you just go ahead and just click on the search bar.
I think I found a different Pedro. So what Pedro?
So no, it's not a Pedro. It's P as in Pedro, E as in Echo, and P as in Pedro.
Oh, Pep.
Yeah, Pep.
Just Pep?
Well, it should pop up. Not many Peps.
There's Peppo, Pep Keys.
Pep Keys, yeah. Pep Keys.
Okay. All right. So I see on your timeline the last thing was the End of Days cartoon.
Yeah. So pretty much I broke it down, and you should see some new contrived propaganda that they contrive us with, and that's pretty much it. Just your view on it, and pretty much just have it synced in and see what you can make out of it.
Sure. So I see, like you're saying, how Dean Kuntz's alt alias was a 121 as well.
And you're covering about him being a prophet and all that, and it's 201.
Sure. His book's got the Wuhan 400 prediction. So, okay, Lay Nichols is a name on that, another 121. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. Yeah, man, nice work.
Yeah, it's just amazing how they broke it down, like, even with the Magic Johnson little star on the picture.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he even has that Band-Aid on. I don't know if you can see on his right shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, and the little Chinese guy right here that has a little black face, he has a $20 bill, so you know what 20, it's pretty much means, you know, so...
Right, yeah, great observations.
Yeah, it's pretty much more obvious than, right in your face, like you say.
Indeed. Yeah, for people who don't know, freetofindtruth.com. Again, this is a place where you can post content, search for content, make friends, and again, you don't have to worry about censorship. So everything he's going to post on here, you can follow him. All his posts will just show up in a chronological order. So keep up the good work, man. I appreciate it.
All right,
All right, see you. What's going on, caller?
Hey, Zach, it's Jericho. Real quick, I got an email today from Glassdoor, the job search website, and it said 33 jobs hiring during Corona. And when I saw that, I just had to laugh. But I know you don't like to do this, but fake illness equals 113. False plague equals 42. And today, I don't know if the Hawks were having a practice or something, but they had a video of the team high-fiving a little boy. And I'm like, why would they be doing that amidst all this Corona crap, you know? They got all this fear of it, and then they show a whole basketball team just high-fiving this little kid. Thought that was pretty interesting. A little side note, the companies Calvin Klein and Kenneth Cole, I don't know if you ever noticed, but they're identical. They're both 112, 49, and 185. They're both owned by Jews, and they're both out of New York, which is 33, and Brooklyn, New York equals 223 and 74.
Right.
Brooklyn is 112, New York 33.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm well aware of the numbers on Brooklyn, so.
Yep, New York has got Gematria all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it, buddy. I'll keep listening. Thanks.
All right, appreciate it, man. Yeah, and this post right here from Resist Control. Again, we've been talking about the movie The Purge. The Purge is about the new founding fathers who create a new holiday to honor them, where murder is legal for 24 hours. It begins March 21st, ends on March 22nd. You find out in the film series the government's targeting poor people to be murdered, even hiring, essentially trained assassins to kill the poor. And again, you find out this event 201, which has got the 322 coded all over it, or the 223, novel coronavirus 223. That's why I'm saying March 22nd, going to be an interesting day. Caller?
Yeah, what's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Alright, I just wanted to ask you like two questions. Do you ever
heard of a YouTube page called Net Most Truth?
I don't know. Don't know.
Okay, and I was going to ask you about the Kennedy assassination. You remember when he talked about exposing the secret societies?
Right.
Do you think they killed him as a message for further presidents?
Well, it's possible because again, he gave that speech about secret societies to the National Press Club, and then he was killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason. And George Dealey became famous because he was a member of the press. He owned newspapers, so it's like, JFK dies in a secret society, a place named after a guy from a secret society who is the press, after giving that speech at the National Press Club. There's definitely a riddle there. So. Here, just real quick before you go back to JFK, I just want to point out that the first Purge movie came out on June 7th, 6-7 for people looking at the screen. And remember, Purge and Wuhan, they both equal 67 with the alphabetic order, 68 with the reverse, 23 with the reverse reduction, so they're the exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. We talked about this the other day. What's up, caller?
Alright, that's cool. But that's all of that.
Alright, man, I appreciate it.
See you next call.
Alright, man, you have a good night.
Alright.
Caller? Caller, you're on. You got to mute the video.
Let me mute it. Alright, what's up, bro?
What's up, man?
Not a whole lot. I was trying to get you a couple books to go with your research.
Okay.
Do you have the Book of Jubilees?
I do not.
Okay, I'm going to get you that. Do I just email it to you? Because mostly I can just send you a link to the PDF. That'd probably be the most convenient for both of us.
Sure. Gematria Effect News
Right,
at gmail.com.
So I just email you right there?
Yep, that's perfect, man.
And then I want to get you this Enoch calendar, bro. I sent you a text the other day about it. I know you've got probably 5,000 texts a fucking day, but it's a $20 purchase. I'm going to purchase it, then I'm going to copy it, and then email it to you.
All right. I have a P.O. box, too.
It's going to help you with all your dates and stuff, because this is the real calendar I was telling you about. The 52 Saturdays every year since the beginning of time. Always correct, you know? Not the Gregorian, not the Julian, not by the moon, not by the sun. By the scripture.
Okay.
But I just wanted to send that to you and see if you can equate it into all this decoding, more or less.
Yeah, that would be great, man.
Alright, so I'm going to hit you at gematryeffect.news with those.
Okay, I look forward to it. Alright, thanks, man.
Keep up the good streams, brother.
Alright, will do. Take care.
Alright.
Yeah, again, in the film The Purge, it begins at 7 p.m. on March 21st, and it ends at 7 a.m. on March 22nd, so 7 to 7. And, again, that old 322. This year, March 21st, it's the date with the 44 and 64 date numerology. It's always a suspicious number. The word military's 44, so we'll see. I suspect headlines will be busy from now through then and even beyond then. What's up, caller?
Hey, what's up, Vlad?
Hey, man.
Hey, did you know that, the second purge, it was called Keep America Great?
Keep America Great, and that's, isn't that Donald Trump's re-selection campaign?
Yeah. And supposedly he hired the guy, I forgot what his first name is, but last name is Bloom, but he has the guy Bloom working in the White House as marketing.
I think it's actually called the Purge election year. I don't think, maybe they use that slogan in the movie though. Keep America Great.
Yeah, the Purge election year. Like if you go to the banner for that movie, it shows it right there. The picture of like the guy that Keep America Great.
Yep, right there. Keep America Great. There it is.
It's crazy, man. And just one
Well,
more thing.
hey, just to go back, the guy who directs these movies, he did say that he said for the first movie that he was using the political theme of Trump and Hillary as part of the narrative. So, I mean, he even came out and said that part of this movie was about what was going on in the real world of politics at the time. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy. Hey, and one more thing, like, regarding 119, some people are saying that right now there's a coup d'etat going on in the U.S. and the diversion is the virus. So, like, the word coup has some interesting gematria, but I was looking at takeover, and takeover has gematria of 119 and 47. I don't know, just some weird ass stuff going on.
Yeah, I think people who put out stuff like that, I think they're way off the mark, man. I don't think there's any coup going on. I think it's just the same. I think a coup happened a long time ago, and it just gets worse and worse being under their reign, so.
Oh, no, I agree. Like, I'm not saying that, like, I think, if anything, they're just solidifying more. It's like a new form, like more, like a nationalist, socialist type of form of government. They're just gaining more power through this, but I'm not expecting, like, some hero to come save the day or anything like that. It's just they're using this to create, like, a even more of a tyrannical system. But,
yeah, I know. I'm just thinking more about, okay, the purge election year. Here we are in election year. It's got the same campaign slogan as Trump. Wuhan. Yeah, it's just we'll see what they do Saturday and Sunday. So I appreciate that heads up. Thanks, man.
all right, man, take it easy.
All right, see you. I gotta admit, Truth Seeker, I got kind of bummed out earlier when California went on lockdown because I was planning to drive back to Seattle tomorrow. I was going to go to South Seattle, which is the poor end of town, and just ask people if they've heard about Event 201 and why they should read about it in light of all the stuff going on in Seattle and if they really are going to target poor people. And I want to go there tomorrow, but now that they're doing this lockdown thing, because I was thinking I had till at least Saturday or Sunday, and I was thinking Friday would be free, but I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle ends up doing this lockdown thing too. I don't want to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time and get inconvenienced. But what's up, caller?
How you doing? I've been listening to you. I just discovered you when Toby died, and I hear you talking about like politicians being Manchurian candidates,
right?
And puppet on the string and stuff, and then you say these things about Tom Hanks as if he, is a part of the cabal and he knows, So I'm like, why don't you think that of him? Why don't you think he's like a Manchurian candidate as well?
Well, I would say that he's a Manchurian candidate. I've talked about many times before how often they've given us the headlines that a lot of these actors are related to these presidents and politicians and royal bloodlines. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I really don't believe that he would. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive because, like I said, I just found out about this stuff recently. So I'm thinking that these celebrities and, just regular people, they don't know about this stuff either. And they just putting themselves out there in an honest, straightforward manner. I mean, I do believe celebrities sell their souls for fame and fortune. I do believe it. And I do believe there's no such thing as coincidences. But I also believe at the same time, they don't know about, this gematria stuff.
What do you think about Tom Hanks's Corona typewriter Instagram post with the 201 points?
I mean, I give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove otherwise. And Larry Johnson, he said he didn't know anything about those Illuminati hand signs that Jay-Z was asking him to throw up.
When he was in his early 20s, I mean, Tom Hanks is a guy who's been in Hollywood for how long? 40 years? So, I mean, that's not a very good comparison, honestly. That's not a very good comparison. I mean, Larry Johnson's just barely older than me. Tom Hanks is twice as old as both of us.
But still, people go through Hollywood and, celebrities and stuff there. They're given scripts to say, and they're told what to wear, where to go, all this kind of stuff. And they don't even delve down deep into the meanings behind things. So, I mean, I just think, like, for instance, his son, he probably put that on his chest just thinking that's something cool. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think there's anything sinister behind it until they prove otherwise, because it's like I don't know. I just think they just walk through life. They don't have a clue. Just like I ain't
Well,
have a clue.
I mean, they could all be puppets on strings, but it's got to be astronomical odds for it all to line up the way it does.
But no, you have the upper elites arranging this stuff.
Right. That's what I suspect's going on. That is what I suspect they're doing. Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think Tom Hanks. I really don't think he's putting that stuff up there just to be mocking people. I think he's being sincere about, you know.
Well, so what's the sincere message in a Corona typewriter?
I mean, I just don't think he realizes. I mean, I definitely don't think these people know about Gematria.
So he's just like, yeah, I'm getting better. So you just think like he's just being clever, like he's like, oh, I got the coronavirus, I'm just gonna do an Instagram post and show a picture of a Corona typewriter. There's no symbolism there.
I mean, there's symbolism, but like you said, he's mocking people and stuff. I just really don't think so. I think he's been given the roles he's played, and he's taken those roles, and he does not know about this Gematria stuff. I really don't believe so. And I also believe that you can know about the Illuminati and still.
Okay, so here's my problem with your call. You're calling in and making all these arguments that I'm not even making. I'm saying that Tom Hanks being used like a pawn on a chessboard for these rituals. I don't even know that these celebrities really even post on their Instagram. I've said that 1,000 times. It could be somebody else who posts on their Instagram for them. But I mean, you just think it's just an coincidence that he puts 201 in there, a needless number detail that connects everything to the simulation?
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying about coincidences and stuff. There's no such thing as that. But he could have somebody putting doing his Twitter for him. He may not even be doing his own Twitter. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I've always said. Yeah, I've always said that.
Yeah.
Are you a big Tom Hanks fan? You like
saying that he knows for sure that he knows about Gematria and all this stuff going on behind the scenes. Until he's really said something to make me believe that, I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt, because like I said, I did not know about any of this stuff, and this is just like.
So tell me what. Here's your question. You talk a lot. What's the point of your phone call?
Well, you sound like you like demonizing, celebrities and stuff.
Yeah, you know what you sound like? You sound now I see. So I'm just gonna hang up on you. That person's annoying the hell out of me. She's making all these arguments of things I'm not saying. I'm saying why they're using Tom Hanks for these rituals. If he really did post this on Instagram, he's definitely a part of it. But I've always said, do these celebrities even own their own Twitters and Instagrams? Because there are always these coded messages that get dropped. I mean, what point is she trying to make? It could just all be a coincidence. Corona typewriter, 201 points, gin rummy. Maybe his son just thought this tattoo was cool. He just decided he was going to talk about his parents being sick and it's no big deal and do it with his shirt off. Well, I mean, what's the point of doing that? Is this a serious phone call? Sounds like somebody who just bought up all the toilet paper. What's up, caller? Hello? Hello? Okay, something's wrong with their signal. I can't hear them. But, I mean, yeah, it's just... Some people got too much fluoride. What's up, caller?
Yo, what up, Zach? Can you hear me? My bad.
I hear you, man. What's going on?
Yeah, so I live in LA, and I just wanted to say, man, I hope you have another protest, like in April or the month after, because I was trying to fly out. I just had stuff I had to do. But I live in LA, so... Bringing up the 22nd, this upcoming Sunday, I do think that they're going to have the full lockdown, because right now they're warming this up with a semi-lockdown. So 3 times 2 equals 66. I was wondering if you had any intelligence on that, but I'm pretty sure they're going to lock LA down on Sunday.
It won't surprise, man. I mean, they always do big things on 3/22, so very well could happen again.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And another thing I wanted to bring up was there was this little Yachty Drake music video. It was like a cross-dressing Baphomet ritual they were doing, and you can go look at the video. And in the beginning, there's just a long part of Drake talking and he's just talking, and he's like, and they're just clearly like bringing up 33 years old. Oh yeah, I'm 33 years old. I'm 33 years old. And it's like right in your face. They're just like reiterating that number, and it's just like the biggest ritual right in your face. I don't know if you've seen that music video.
I haven't seen it.
It's called Oprah's Bank Account by just put Oprah's Bank Account Drake. You'll see the ritual.
I heard about this. I meant to research it and I forgot. There's just so much stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it's so disgusting, and he's just like, just right when he says 33, I'm just like, wow, this is like a big ass ritual. And then another thing, I was wondering if you had or would possibly do a video on Dwayne Wade sacrificing his son to the Baphomet to push the LGBTQ agenda. I don't know if you have any like intel or like did research on that.
I got to look into that too. So.
Awesome. And I was just wondering, when do you plan to have your next protest, man? I definitely want to come and support.
Well, I was honestly going to go do it tomorrow. Not tomorrow. What I was planning on doing, I was planning on going to Seattle tomorrow and going to the South End, which is the poor end of town, and the town that people are a lot more awake, and just show them this simulation. Just go up to people who are interested and say, hey, can I tell you where to go on your cell phone and just watch the last minute of this video and just listen to this? Because I feel like all the poor people in the world need to hear the last minute of that Event 201 11-minute highlight reel, and just how after 6 months the thing explodes and really starts targeting poor communities and mega cities. I mean, Seattle, Washington definitely isn't a mega city, but since it's going on there, I just wonder if it could end up targeting the poor half of town. And again, I just think all poor people around the world deserve to hear what's at the end of that simulation of Event 201, just so they can have a heads up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they're trying to slowly purge the homeless right now. That's what they're doing. And just bringing up the purge, how you were looking into the date. I don't know if you saw. In the movie, the purge. I actually have a screenshot of it. I'm looking at it right now. There's like a little clip where it says 3/21/2020 in the movie. I'm not sure which purge movie that is, but it was before this year, and it says the date, and that's when they're going on a lockdown. So it's pretty interesting how they work, like pre-programming this stuff.
You're saying there's a scene from the date March 21st, 2020 in the Purge movies?
Yeah, I have a screenshot of it right now. Could I possibly send it to this number?
If you send it to this number, yeah, then I can, text it to me right now, because then I can send it to my email and show it to everybody. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, it's really weird.
All right, let me know when you send a text message, and I'll check it out. I'll send it to the email.
Yeah, I just sent it right now.
You just sent it?
But, what area did you have your last protest again?
Seattle.
Seattle, okay. Yeah, I was actually going to get the round trip for the day, but something came up. It was so cheap. It was like $200. I was going to go, man. I'm a big supporter, you know. I'm 22 years old, but, man, I've been digging into all this stuff. And, you know, I was really young, so it's really interesting. But I do believe on the 22nd, they're going to implement that. They're just warming it up right now, you know.
Right. Okay, here, I'm looking up your email right now. I got it. So
I texted it, yeah.
Yeah, I got it up on the screen so other people can see it. Okay, so The Purge, you can see the beginning of the movie. Shows PM 10/24:07 p.m. March 21st, 2020. Purge feed, Salina, Ohio. So it's interesting. Does it show any other towns at that same? Is it like filtering through towns throughout America, or is it focused on that town? Do you know?
I'm not too. I don't have the extensive details. I just have this screenshot, and you know it's fucking this day tomorrow. So I'm sure they're gonna do some type of ritual or some spell casting with some type of symbolism in the news or media or some type of bullshit headline.
Selena's got Gematria 44. It's a date with 44 numerology. It's also got Gematria 118 like death, 37 and 26 like virus. Selena OH is 67 like Wuhan. Selena, Ohio. Yeah, we got to figure out which one this is from. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's just really fucking interesting, man.
Yeah, because Purge and Wuhan, again, they're both 67, and the first film came out on June 7th. So.
Yeah, I think Trump, he's starting more shit with China. Just impulsively saying this is a Chinese virus, just targeting them. I wouldn't be surprised if some type of, like, you know, preliminary fucking war starts. I feel like there is.
Right. I hear you.
Just with China in particular, I feel like we're going to ban travel to China for maybe a couple months until all this settles down with all this beef going on.
Sure. There's another Purge movie coming out later this year.
Yeah, there is actually, and I'm sure that has some subliminal secret shit in it, but it's just, I hadn't looked into it. But I know there's that Space Jam too with fucking LeBron and all this bullshit. NBA. I don't know if you heard, 2 players in the Lakers have the coronavirus.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look into that. There's just so many headlines to keep up with, but I will. So.
Yeah, it's fucking overwhelming right now. But I appreciate, like, all the videos you drop. You know, I have a lot of gratitude for your work and shit.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, definitely, man. Always supporting, and I hope to fucking support at your next protest. Keep it up, man.
Thank you.
For your safety, dog.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, take care. That's kind of weird that from Event 201 to the day the Purge movie comes out, it's 266 days. That big number with the Jesuits. It's also 38 weeks. Pandemic 38, death 38. It's a movie about death, murder, killing. Murder's 38, killing 38, RIP 38. That's weird. That is weird. So, that could be a movie they end up canceling. You know how they always have those movies that are supposed to release, and they're like, oh, that movie was going to release too close to this event that was too similar in history. They had to do a bunch of stuff with 9/11. So, you guys, we'll leave it there. I might still end up going to Seattle tomorrow. I'm going to play it by ear. Again, I don't want to end up stranded on the other side of town from where I live, or on the other side of the state, I should say, from where I live. But, again, I want to get down and talk to some people while we still can, just in case this gets crazier than anyone expects. And another thing, the building that we've been trying to acquire for Gematria Effect News, the woman who's holds the lease, she contacted me today and she said that there's 2 offers in on the property, and she reached out to me and she said, you're the only one willing to carry on the tradition. I'll just give you a heads up. There's a restaurant tradition she has that she wants to see carried on with the next ownership, and she said, so far I'm the only one who said I would do it, but she said I need to have an offer in by March 27th. I'm not going to be able to do that unless people from the community step up. What's up, caller?
Not much, man. I'm just, sleepless here in Miami. Addition of Corona being her home kingdom that she was isolated from.
I didn't know that, no.
Me neither. I mean, people verified it, then I looked it up. I'm not sure on the fact that she was isolated from it, but she had to leave Corona. Rapunzel had to leave Corona in the movie Tangled. I looked at Rapunzel's Gematria. It's 11341. I don't know what the other 2 are, but it's like Kobe Bryant, 113, and then 41. Yeah, so I was checking out the comments in the chat, and someone just mentioned how Drake has a post on Instagram. It's like maybe 7 posts back or 8 posts back. But, yeah, he says episode 201. It's like on this script. It's literally a script for something. Let me see. Yeah, a Netflix script. For Drake, it's called Top Box. Top Box, and it says episode 201, No More Killing. Or Killing No More.
What's okay? So it's Drake. Drake.
Yeah, Champagne Poppy on Instagram. Both should show up. And then maybe you go back. You'll just see a script on a table, like a notebook. Look up, and then zoom in.
Okay, I'm just trying to see if I can find it.
Yeah, let me help you out. It should be actually the 10th post on February 26th.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting the Champagne Poppy thing up first, and then...
Okay, yep. And then you just go down to the 10th photo.
10th photo and what?
On the 10th photo on his Instagram.
Drake?
So, yeah, Drake.
Okay.
But on Instagram he calls himself Champagne Poppy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. 10th photo, and then just zoom in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one?
See it, the 4th row? Yeah. A white notebook on a table.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Gotcha. I literally just discovered it.
I see episode 201. Yeah, right there.
201, and then I've been telling you, man, you opened my eyes up after the Kobe Bryant. I'm like, there's no way the great Kobe Bryant, one day after LeBron passes him in his hometown, 1 in 82 chance, like, this stuff happens. And then I kept looking for connections. I always believed there was some hidden hand. And then your numbers that you go with, they don't, or that you don't go with, but that you inform people about, they don't lie. And I'm starting to understand it better. Before it was all opinion, or like, oh, I think this, or like, think about it, think logically. But now it's like, the 201 with the Tom Hanks and the event 201, and then now this Drake thing. It's like, I used to show it to my friends, and they'd be like, man, that's crazy. You went to 4 years of college to think Idris Elba is faking this virus? I'm like, and then now I see your numbers, and now I'm showing them the 201. These things you can't make up, it's like these people are putting out the 201. For no reason, like you said, you could have just said, I won 6 hands of Jim Romney. So now when you give them indisputable evidence, it's like kind of no response, stuff like that. Or so it's making. I think I'm making moves on master or getting better at what you put forward. So thank you. I really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome. I just see the name of the thing on the top is called Top Boy, and that equals 93, like Wuhan coronavirus.
Oh, Top Boy. Okay. I see. Yeah, Top Boy. 93. That's also like Tom Hanks' full name.
Right. It's showing up to that. 93 is always a big number with these people, because again, you have to remember they say the sun's 93 million miles away, and the corona is related to the sun. So.
And how do they even know 93 million miles? But yeah, I remember that was a time number with Saturn.
It's Saturn's 93 too. Saturn's the keeper of time to the occult.
Gotcha. All right, man. I appreciate the time, and I won't keep you too long, so thank you. Have a great night.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, bye.
I see. But anyway, I was just saying, I have to have an offer in for that building by March 27th. That's what she said. So that's not tomorrow, but the Friday after. And again, as a community, we could easily put the funds together to make this happen, but just so few people have stepped up to the plate. And quite frankly, I'm sick of asking, man. But yeah, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. I always think, had I not done this, had I just stuck with the business I had in 2014 that got sabotaged for doing this work, I would be rolling right now. Could finance all sorts of things. I would think people would be willing to chip in $1 for as much as I've done the last 7 years. What's up, caller?
What's up, bud? I didn't think I was going to be on, but hey, I just want to, I don't want to waste your time or anything, Zach, but I really want to put some money towards this cause. Where if I send you like $50 through PayPal, do you think maybe I could get hooked up with a sweater or something?
Yeah. If you do a 50 on the hoodie, just go to the pinned post in the description of each video. To get a hoodie, that's what it costs. $50 on the PayPal, and then just send me an email with the size you need, and write your address and tell me what your name was on the payment, and I'll verify it all, and I'll send you a hoodie.
All right, the show's that.
Yeah.
Hey, I was gonna say too. What was it? Actually, that's all I wanted to tell you. All right, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate it. All right, take it. All right, see you. Yeah, like if you go to one of my videos, hold on, let me go to one of my videos real quick. Your channel, or here's one of my videos. Gematria Effect Sports and Gematria Effect News, I do the exact same thing. So you go to that top pinned post, read more. To get your hoodie, again, pin top post in every video. To get your hoodie, you just follow these steps. Email me at genhoodies@gmail.com. So make sure you send it to that. That's the email for the hoodie. Different than my typical email address. And then it's $50 for a small, medium, large, or extra large. $60 for a double XL because double XL costs more. And yeah, you can do it on PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. So you want to get one of those black hoodies I wear with the Gematria Effect News, that's the way to do it. And again, thank you to everyone who has supported the Patreon. We're nowhere near the goal. But we are close. This. I'll do it tomorrow if I don't drive to Seattle. But again, this building, it's $1,500 a month. It has 8 offices upstairs. It has a restaurant and full-size kitchen on the middle floor, and then it has a full basement below. There's so much stuff you can do with this building. And I mean, we could even make it like an awesome charity place. There's a lot of homeless people in this town. If we wanted to run Gematria Effect News up in the top floor and then raise donations and, you know, like take care of the homeless people, give them a place to get their meals each day, give them a chance to talk about things. A lot of homeless people are woke, you know. There's so many different things we could do. But again, if we just pitched in $1 each as a community, we could have a team of employees, a building, and really start building on something. Caller?
Hi, Zachary. Good to hear from you.
What's up, man?
Actually, glad I finally got through to you. It's over 8 for the Bucks. Anyway, go Tom Brady at Tampa Bay. I was just wondering, because I was trying to get on, I wanted to buy your book, but I can't figure out how to do that.
So again, if you just saw what I was showing about the top pinned post of every video, like there's a link that says read my book, or just even in the description, you should see where it says buy letters and numbers book. If you click on those links, it'll take you to the place to get it. So.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. And you said, yeah, because I watched your video, so you just click on that, and then it'll go basically instruction how to download and stuff.
Yeah. Another way to get it is to go to my website, gematriaeffect.news. In the top right corner, there's something that says ebook. You can get it right there, too. So.
Okay, yeah, because I'm subscribed to you. Just I don't know how to figure out how to download it. My girlfriend was like, well, how do you do it? So I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out for the last 6 months.
All right.
All right, brother, I appreciate it. And I just wanted to call you and say,
all right.
I think I left a text saying half of everybody that's been chatting live did what you're doing. We probably get kind of almost overturned in mainstream media. You know what I'm saying?
I know we can do it, man. I know we can do it. It can be done.
What I mean? It's just crazy. We can, as much as people that listen to you, they're chatting. I was freaking out. I was like, wow, all these people are chatting. That's more power than what the mainstream media throws up. We can make our own little. I know there's a few out there, but we can even expand it.
Indeed. Indeed.
You know?
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zachary.
All right, yeah,
God
you
bless
take
you
it.
and keep up the good work, man.
All right, we'll do.
See you. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, for the caller from Switzerland who keeps calling from Switzerland, Skype. If you send a request to free25, oh, hold on, they did. My fault. Here, I'm gonna call. Let me call Switzerland real quick. Let's see if they connect. They're calling on the phone.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Shoot.
Please leave a message after the beep.
Well, that didn't work. Caller?
Hi, Zach.
This is your caller from Switzerland. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. I wanted to tell you if you have looked into the movie Apocalypse Now.
Oh, sure. Apocalypse Now, Vietnam movie.
The director was Francis Ford Coppola.
Right.
And it has a connection with Apocalypto from Mel Gibson.
Okay. Okay.
Mel Gibson was born in the year 56, so it connects to the whole numbers.
Right.
And I was looking into it with one of my friends, and we found out a couple of things. Apocalypse Now has a release date of numerology of 113 and 41. So the Kobe numbers.
Right.
And Kobe's birthday has 110 and 38 numerology like martial law, right?
Right.
Right. So we were just looking into a couple of things, and since Mel Gibson has the movie Conspiracy, I think it's called.
Conspiracy Theory?
Right, Conspiracy Theory, and he also has The Passion of the Christ. So he has a lot of movies that have to do like with religion, stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. And another thing I found out, which has nothing to do with the coronavirus, has to do with Tom Brady.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, but you mentioned Tom Brady was 163, and also that the news came on 316.
Right.
And the Buccaneers has to do with Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
I don't know if you found that out, but it has to do something with the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, because the director of Pirates of the Caribbean was born on March 16th.
Huh. Amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Orlando Bloom is also born in 77, and he was a star of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
And what's super interesting about this is that the director of Pirates of the Caribbean, he also directed the movie The Ring.
Okay.
And Orlando Bloom was in Lord of the Rings, right?
Right.
Which then made me look at the release date of Lord of the Rings. No, not the release date of Lord of the Rings. The release date of The Ring, the movie The Ring, the horror movie. And it's 77 days to Tom Brady's birthday.
Huh. That is interesting.
And even more interesting is Tom Brady was in the news with Ariana Grande last year, I think it was. I haven't looked deeply into that, but Ariana Grande had a song called Seven Rings, and that one was released on January 18th, 118, and Tom Brady's name is 118.
Huh. Yeah. Very interesting.
Also, the song is 3 minutes and 5 seconds long, so Tom Brady is 35 also in Gematria.
Huh.
And Tom Brady's name and Ariana have a connection of 118 and 46.
Okay.
And the director of Ariana's Theo, his name is Tom Brown, so TB again.
Okay. Huh.
So yeah, and then I found a couple of things out about the song. The song was on the chart for 33 weeks, and Tom is 33. So I don't know if that's maybe saying that Tom's going to get his 7th ring with the Buccaneers. I was looking into that, but just so you have a heads up.
I appreciate that. Yeah, great observations.
You're very welcome.
All right, you have a good night.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, welcome. Since she asked about the movie Mel Gibson Conspiracy Theory, I saw this a long time ago. I love this. Conspiracy Theory came out on 8/8, right? And Conspiracy Theory equals 88. And from his birthday to the release of the movie was 218 days. You're on the alphabetic order in reverse. Conspiracy Theory is 218. It was 7 months and 6 days, like 76, like 1776. The year the Bavarian Illuminati was established on May 1st by Adam Weishaupt. Adam Weishaupt's 51, like conspiracy. You guys, we'll leave it there. I'm going to really try to pitch the idea one last time tomorrow to get people to support getting some funds so we can hire some people and get a building and take this to the next level. Because if we don't, we're going to be stuck in the mud. I mean, you can only do so much on social media. There's too much censorship and ghost banning. I mean, most of you guys couldn't even watch the live streams I did today because you didn't get a notification. And even if you clicked on my channel, it didn't even show that I was live, even if you clicked on the channel. So that's why that woman really called in. That was the same video that was ghost banned, that nobody could even see what's happening. And then she calls in to say, like, oh, I think it's kind of all a coincidence. Don't you hate all those people that are, like, paid for disinformation? You can just tell because they talk out of both sides of their mouth and what they're saying doesn't really make any sense. She's like, I don't believe in coincidence, but I think all this is a coincidence. It's like, what? Anyway, it's not a coincidence, you guys. This is how the Cabal works every single day. Letters and numbers, because Kabbalah says God created the world with letters, numbers, and words. This is what they believe. This is what they do. You can verify it every single day, a million different ways. And I did tell you to circle the date, March 21st, 2020, a month in advance. It's that one date with the 4464. So now that we know that it's in the Purge movie, and again, the first Purge movie came out on 6/7, and Purge and Wuhan are both 67 with the alphabetic order, and they got overlap in 3 out of 4. Really better watch out for March 21st. I want to go to Seattle so bad tomorrow, but I can't decide if that's a dumb decision, so I'll keep you posted. We'll leave it there, Truth Seeker, and get some rest. Be safe. Be prepared just in case it gets even crazier. And until next time.